multiple matrices based upon which this can happen. Number one is based upon the CPU utilization. Number two is based upon the network, and number three can be based upon the users connected to the instance or how many number of requests any particular instance is going to process. So these are the few of the matrices based upon which the auto scaling group must be activated. Okay. So we were doing some practical in the last session. We were trying to stress our one of the instance, and we were trying to see whether a new instance automatically gets created or not. Okay. So let me share the screen and let's start with the practical one directly. But is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So yesterday I had not shut down the instance. So it was running since yesterday, and let's see if it is running now as well or not. Because otherwise we need to execute all the things once over again. So uh, I had left the things as it is. Do have an instance running? Yes, the instance that we created yesterday, and this instance beta I had not created manually. This was created automatically by the T2 micro. So EC2 instance is there. Monitoring is disabled, and security could launch wizard 1 key pair launch time. So the launch time is, it is created on 15th of June at 7:32. Okay, so this is running since yesterday. So this is still running uh, instance, and we are supposed to go to the auto scaling group. Okay, so we are going to go to the auto scaling group, and we have already a demo ASG auto scaling group that we have created yesterday. And within this, we have created a one template based upon which every time a new instance is going to be created, and it will inherit whatever the things I have written within this demo template. Okay, so let's click on this auto scaling group, demo ASG, and this is the place where we have left yesterday. Now here the desired capacity is 1, minimum capacity is 1, and the maximum, let's suppose, is 3. Okay. So as of now, since the minimum and the desired boost capacities are 1, so we have only one instance which is running. Now let's move on to the automatic scaling, the third option. We have got the dynamic scaling policy that will not be okay, predictive and schedule. We have seen that, but we have created a dynamic scaling property. So the policy name tracking, this is enabled as requested. Maintain CPU is as required to maintain the average CPU utilization, which is 40%. So if it is the CPU utilization is less than or equal to 40%, only one instance is going to be there. But otherwise, if the CPU utilization is going to be more than 40%, and because of one trigger statement is going to be there, and the new instance must be launched. So add or remove capacity units as required. Take a action. Which action is, you either need to add a instance or you need to remove the instance. So instance need, this is the freeze period 300 second to warm up before including the matrix. Scale in is enabled. So once we scale out means we are going to add an instance automatically. Now scale in, whether you want to reduce it, yes, it is enabled. So that means once we are going to remove that, it will automatically will be removed. Okay. Then we have the instance management. One instance there is there already, demo template. In this instance is healthy. Okay. So this instance is healthy. Click on this instance. Mm, DNS, private DNS, public DNS, IP address. Okay, so open this address. Just give me a second. Mhm. Instance type. So this is CPU utilization. Okay. So demo history. Okay. So within activity, so these are the few of the activities that we have seen in the last. So it is from 2 to 1 instances there, automatic scaling, instance management, and monitoring. So let's move on to the monitoring, and let's move on to the EC2 and see. So, but this is the CPU utilization, and now you'll see, observe that the CPU utilization is less. So this is the lesser the CPU utilization. Okay, 0.2%, something like this. Okay, so what we need to do is we'll try to stress out this particular instance, and how we are supposed to do this using the connect, EC2 connect. So let's try to do this. Instance management, click on the instance and you'll find the connect option. Click on the connect and instance connect is there, so go to connect. Okay, so this is working fine. Now once this is there, open the another browser because I want to stress this instance, so I'm going to install something onto this. Install stress, so this is present, go to the very first tab. Okay, copy the first command from here. So you can copy any other command as well. So this is not mandatory, you need to do the same thing, but the purpose of doing so is we are just trying to stress our, and so that the CPU utilization shoots up and we are able to observe if there is any new instance that is being created. Done. Let's do it clear. Right, stress C4. So 4, this is 4 CPU utilization VM virtual machines is given, and 0 HTD. This is just a simple information that is being present. And we can see, let's go to the scaling group, instance connect. Let's go to the monitoring. And let's go to the EC2 instance. So yesterday it went to the peak. Instance management, instance connect. So this is already installed and latest version, so nothing to do. So beta, since yesterday also, why it is not shooting up? So because this is already installed and to the latest version and nothing to do. So that is why we are not able to get this one. Okay. Uh, let's try to install something else. So the stress package is already installed into our EC2 instance. Because of this, we are not able to get a stress. Or you can see we have moved to 40.9 If this is the case, now if we have done this in EC2, we can see this as shooted up to 40.9, and let's try to see if we are able to in automatic scaling, instance management, and activity. So what is this? Launching a new instance, status reason you request instance type T2 micro. So but it was trying to launch the instance. So the first of all we got a error launching a new instance, status reason you request instance T2 micro is not support to your requested availability zone 1C. It was not available in this zone. Please retry your request if not specifying availability zone, choosing an AP South 1A. Okay. So a mirror alarm target so and so state alarm triggered. So beta, can you see this? In state an alarm is triggered, policy track it target change to the desired capacity from 1 to 2. Okay. So this is done. The capacity is changed from 1 to 2. And by the way, beta, this is up to this one. This is 15th of June. That is yesterday. And this is 16th of June. Just at 7:10 right now alarm is triggered, and because of this instant is increased started to response so uh, at this particular time instance was started in response to the difference between desired and the actual capacity, increasing the capacity from 1 to 2. So that means now I if I go and check instance management, I should be able to have a, you'll see I have the two instances running. Okay, so both instances are healthy. I hope beta you are able to see the change. Have you seen this? So this is just a triggering of the alarm because we have created. And yes, by the way, if I'll close this and if I log out, let's suppose command C, C, or if I'll simply type exit. So logout is done. So I'm not sure whether this will come down or not, but let's try to. We have the another way. Now, if we need to see, better if we need to see that, okay, now we have two instances running. Okay. Now, if we'll start, uh, if we'll wait here, and once the instance what EC2 connect, when the instance is going to be, the traffic is going to be low, automatically one of these instances is going to be terminated because the desired capacity, the details you'll see desired, the minimum capacity is 1. So right now 2 is running because maximum is 3. So automatically this 2 will become 1. Okay. So for sometimes we need to wait so that the CPU utilization is reduced. So we need to wait. See, but at this point, if you'll see this triggering point, this is a trigger point at 41.c, CPU utilization 41.c. After this, it comes to back to this point, which is 29. Then this is 22. So CPU utilization will decrease, and if CPU utilization will decrease, but ultimately in activity you will observe that the one of the instance will be removed. Okay, so it will take some time. So I hope this point is clear that how or using this automatic scaling group. Now, if the traffic or the CPU, this is one of the metrics because this was the easiest one to check whether the instance is launched or not. The another matrices are if the number of users is going to increase. Now, let's suppose if I'll have one instance and there are 100 users, and in that matrix, if I'll specify, if you'll get a request more than 100, then try to launch a new instance. Now that practically we cannot do because we do not have the traffic of 100 coming into the instance, or based on the network congestion also you can have this. So there are a lot of ways using which you can launch this. Auto scaling group can launch instantly, automatically it can launch the EC2 instances. So let's read further few points. Okay. Okay, so let's. This is what we have done. Auto scaling matrices to scale on if the network traffic right now. This ये कल हमने पढ़ लिया था बेटा. So auto scaling group scaling cooled down period 300 second that we have seen. Cool down period is something during which you cannot create, scale up or scale down any of the instances. So because it needs to settle down. So if frequently you are scaling up, scaling down, so the system needs some time to register how many scale up operations are performed and how many scale down permissions, scale down operations are performed, so that it can provide you with the correct and the exact values. So sometimes we have the few minutes that is going to be called as the cool down periods or freezing time. Okay, so this we have done. Auto scaling group for the solution architects. So leave this. This is much detailed. Okay. Then beta we are going to start with the another topic today, that is relational database service. So the another topic that we're going to start today is AWS RDS overview. Now beta database can be multiple type, MySQL, Oracle, MongoDB. So there are different types of databases that are available. So it is written Postgres, MySQL, Maria, Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server, Aurora. So there are different types of databases that are available to be used. AWS relational database services is going to be provided with one inbuilt database, that is Aurora. So Aurora is going to provide you the much better functionality as compared to this Oracle and other third parties. We'll see that in a coming lecture. So RDS stands for the Relational Database Service. We know this. It is a managed database service for the database to use SQL as a query language. Now, why this database RDS is a managed? Because beta, you need not to worry about the backups. You need not to worry about the failures. You need not to worry about the expansion. Now, suppose this database is not able to manage huge data, so it needs to have an expansion. So automatically expansion is going to be done, backups are taken, and all the things are going to be managed automatically with the help of the AWS. So that is why it is a managed database service for a database to use SQL as a query language. So it can automatically be managed. It allows you to create a database in the cloud that are managed by the AWS. Now what does RDS do? It allows you to create your own databases in the cloud. You can create your Oracle database, you can create your MySQL database, you can even create your Microsoft SQL Server database. You can create any of the database, but if it is created in the AWS, so it will be managed by the AWS. So that's the beauty of AWS. Okay, that's the beauty of AWS. Now, there are different types of this databases that we have seen. Now, advantages over using RDS versus deploying DBS on EC2. Now, beta, many of you might argue on this point that, sir, that if we have the EC2 instances running, we can we can install our databases on this virtual machines as well. हम उस EC2 instance के ऊपर भी database जो है वो install कर सकते हैं. Then what is the benefit of having the RDS as a different service provided by the AWS? Because the answer is going to be very simple and clear, that you can no matter you can deploy your servers, Oracle servers or any server on EC2 instances as well. But if you'll deploy this databases on EC2 instances, then you are the one who needs to take care of everything: scale up, scale down operations, backups, failures. So whatever you want to perform, you need to perform it, because within the EC2 that instance is provided and you are supposed to manage everything. So management becomes very easy if you use this RDS provided by the AWS. So that's the only sole reason. So here the advantages are written over using RDS. Why you should use RDS versus deploying a database on EC2 instance. So you can deploy on EC2 instance also, you can use RDS also. But what is the benefits of using RDS over EC2? So those benefits are written here. Now RDS is a managed service, whereas if you deploy the database on EC2, instance, you need to manage it at your own. So it will not be automatically managed. So automated provisioning, OS patching is going to be a operation that is performed in RDS. Continuous backups will be there, restore points will be there, specific time stamping will be there, point of time to restore, you can specify the point where you want to restore. Monitoring dashboards is going to be there for the databases. Read replicas, that you can multiple read and write operations are performed in the databases, so multiple read replicas, endpoints you can generate, and improved read performances will be there. It will be your database that you have used over the RDS. It will be available in the multiple availability zone set up for the database, and you'll have the disaster recovery. So maintenance, Windows for the upgrades, automatically Windows will be updated for the upgradings. Scaling capacity, automatically scale up, scale down can be performed, vertical and horizontal scaling. But do you remember vertical and horizontal scaling? I have explained this to you. What is vertical? Let's see your presence of mind. Beta, how many of you know what is vertical and horizontal scaling? Please tell me. Chaitanya, yes. Apart from Chaitanya, anyone else who remembers what is vertical and the horizontal scaling? But that shows you are not attentive, you are not listening. We have taken the example of the call center in scalability. If you instead of using T2 micro, if you are using the instance T2 large, T2 extra large, T2 2 time extra large, same instance, when you're going to increase, that is a vertical scaling. That is a vertical scaling. Horizontal scaling means that if you have the one T2 micro instance, you are not going to increase the size of the instance. Instead of that, you're going to add multiple T2 micro instances, same size instances you're going to add. That's a horizontal scaling. Similarly, it is written here, so scaling capability. So vertical and the horizontal scaling can be performed. Scaling capability is there in the RDS, and the storage backed by the elastic block storage, EBS, that we have studied, in which GP2 and IO1 storage is going to be there, GP2 and IO1. But you can't SSH into your instances. So that's the only available, only plus point in case of instances. You cannot do the SSH in case of RDS, but you can do SSH in your instances. So these are the few of the, now you can obviously see that if I'll use the RDS, but these are the advantages, or these are the additional benefits that I'll be having if I'll use the RDS instead of EC2 instance, deploying the database on EC2 instance. Okay. Now RDS backups, how the RDS backups are going to be there. So backups are automatically enabled in RDS. You need not to do anything. It will be system generated. Backups are going to be there automatically. Will be generated. Automatic backups. There are multiple time zone on which these backups are going to be there. You can have the daily full backup for the databases during the maintenance window. Let's suppose at midnight from 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. Generally, our UMS goes for the backups and the maintenance at the midnight. Okay. So in the same way, you can decide full day backup you can take in one specific time during the night, or you can have the transaction logs are backed up by the RDS every 5 minutes. So if multiple transaction like Paytm database is there, okay, so any other banking database there, so whatever transaction logs are there, so every 5-minute backup is going to be taken for the transaction log. Ability to restore to any point in time from the oldest backup to 5 minutes ago. Okay, so that's a benefit. No matter if something goes wrong, you can retrieve all the data up to last 5 minutes. Okay, so you'll get it last 5 minutes तक आपका data हो सकता है, and you can set the retention date. Okay, so backup retention can be there from 7 days to 35 days. From 7 days to 35 days तक आपका जो backup है that can stay if there is a disaster and if you want to recover. So these are the backups, important points. Now we can also create the snapshots. Snapshot we have already studied. These are the manual, these automated. Now if you'll see this, if you point out a difference between backups and the snapshot, beta matlab same hai, there's the same meaning, But automated backups, this is system generated, which will be done by the AWS itself. But snapshots are the manually triggered by the users at any given point of time. If you want to take the snapshot, or if you want to have the backup for the database, you can take the snapshot. Retention of backup is as long as you want. Okay, so you can do this. And is maybe we have studied that you can transfer the data to some secondary storage where it is 90% cheaper. So we have done in the snapshot, you can store the snapshot to that particular area. Coming on to the next one, RDS storage and auto scaling. Read it once, better try to read it. How you can store and how you can auto scale. Read it once. We'll see the practical in a while. Databases. And but by the way, this service is not free. Okay, so this RDS service is not free. I'll try to execute just for the practice purpose, and if you don't want to pay anything, you should not execute this, you should skip this. I'll do it just for the reference purpose. Read it once. RDS storage auto scaling helps to increase storage on your RDS database instance dynamically. You can increase the storage. When RDS detects you are running out of the free database storage, it scales automatically. It is going to scale automatically. Avoid manual scaling to the database shortage. You need not to keep a track that now you are short of the storage and you need to increase it, because it will be automatically done. So you have to set a maximum storage threshold. बेटा अनलिमिटेड तो नहीं हो सकता. Suppose 10 GB is the minimum one, and 10 GB the minimum one. On daily basis you are going to store the data, and let's suppose 100 GB or 1000 GB you are going to set the maximum storage. So it will automatically on the daily basis going to increase the size of the database up to a certain maximum limit. It will not exceed the maximum storage threshold limit that you are going to set. So maximum limit for the database storage, you need to set this. Now automatically modify the storage if free storage is less than 10. Now these are multiple conditions. Under what conditions you are supposed to have the auto scaling? When this auto scaling, so these are the conditions under which auto scaling will be triggered. First point है, if free storage is less than 10% of the allocated storage. Okay, this is the first point. When this triggering point will be reached, so auto scaling is going to happen. Second is low storage lasts at least 5 minutes. So if you are having a low storage and it is from last 5 minutes, so then the auto scaling will be performed. Okay, the third point is 6 hours have passed since the last modification in the database. In that case also these can be the triggering points under which the auto scaling will be enabled. So useful for the application with the unpredictable workload. So if you cannot predict that how much data or the traffic will be flowing in for your application, you can use this auto scaling feature. So it can scale up and scale down automatically. Supports all RDS database engines. So this relational database, all these things, and auto scaling works very well for all the databases like MariaDB, MySQL, PostgreSQL, SQL Server, and Oracle. It works absolutely fine with all these things. Okay, so this is an application. User are accessing your application using the HTTP request, and this request is going to be forwarded to Amazon RDS, which can be either read request or write request. This RDS, Amazon RDS database is going to have fetch the instructions or fetch the data from the storage. Okay, so there can be any secondary storage present somewhere in the data centers. So RDS is going to fetch it from there. Okay, try to read this one. RDS read replicas for the read scalability. Read write operations are performed. Read this. After this we'll try to, okay, after this we'll try to execute. Read this slide. So read replicas for the read scalability up to 5 read replicas within the same availability zone. Okay, we'll come to this portion a bit later. So database instance, multiple read replicas is generated, which is attached to the application that they are asynchronous replication, but the eventually the data is going to be synchronized. So let's try to see this in a practical relational database. Let's try to find it. Relational database stands for RDS. So you'll have this RDS. Click on the another service. Okay. So you see this. We have nothing as of now, and we are going to click on create database. Okay. So simply click on create database, or if you go to the databases, you'll see we don't have any database as of now. So you can click on create a database. Okay. Now we are going to study each and every point here. So these are the long list of the options that we need to understand. So let's suppose we have the choose a database creation method. Either you can create a standard which have the lot of options, or you can easy create in which you will have the limited number of options. Okay. So these are the quick creation. You create the database very quickly. But since we are going to create it for the very first time, we'll try to understand each and every point that is being written. So I'm not going to click on easy create, and I'm going to click on the standard creation method. And by the way, I'm telling you, this might have few charges. So as we are going to create this, do not try to execute this one. So then engine option. So which engine you are going to prefer? So Amazon Aurora, better this will see in a while in the coming few lectures. But as of now, you need to keep in mind that we have MySQL, MariaDB, PostGen, Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server. So we have a lot of options. So as of now, I'm going to click on MySQL. Let's suppose I want to have a database MySQL. Okay. Now addition is MySQL community. Version is whatever the default version. There are a lot of versions available. 8028 is there. So there are a lot of versions available. You can see here. So I'm going to keep it the default one. The MySQL version, I'm going to use 8028 because this is the default one suggested. Okay. Now template, choose a sample template to meet your use case. For what purpose you want to create this database? Either you are going to create it for the production or for the development and the testing, or you're going to use it for the free tier. Okay. So we will be using this free tier in the next one. I'm right now I'm going to click on the production. Okay. So we'll have the production. So the next option is settings. No, so let's look on to the settings. So in this one, you will see better we have the database instance identifier. We'll have the already suggested database one, so we'll keep it that is it. And then we have the credentials, then username for the database login, master username, admin is there. So password you can have either auto generated or you need to type it your own. So I'll type my own password. So let's have the confirm password. So this is done, and let's move back to the instance configuration. Okay. So when we discuss the instance configuration, it is the database instance configuration options below are limited to those who supported by the engine that you were selected above. Now, which of the instance configuration you are going to choose? Now you'll see there's a toggle button that you can obviously click. Now database instance class standard, which includes M class, or you can use the memory optimized one. And okay, or you can, let's change the password then. Contained 8 printable characters. Characters contain any of the following: slash, single quote, double quotes, and a sign. Okay. Mm-mm. But let me stop the screen share and resolve this password issue. Let me find some of the another password before we can move on to the next one. Give me a second. Okay, so this is sorted. I have entered the password. Let's share the screen once again. Okay, so I hope my screen is shared and is it visible? Yes. So I've got the password, but I'll forget मैंने क्या रखा था. Uh, Chalo, we'll figure it out. Then the instance configuration is there. You need to choose the instance, database instance. So you can have the any of the instance standard classes. You'll have the memory optimized, including RNX classes or the burstable classes. Okay, so you'll have the different classes present here. And if you'll use this standard class, you'll have the database, which is going to have a 2 virtual CPU, 8 gigs of RAM, and you can scroll all the way to DB M6G 16X large. This is a class, and which is going to have 64 virtual CPUs, 256 gig of RAM, and this is the configuration that is already present. Okay, so this is one of the way in which you can use the standard classes, or you can use the burstable classes, or which include the T class, and T is the most affordable. T2 micro and T2 large, so T is the most affordable one. So I'll click on this one, and let's try to find the and this. And if you include the previous generation classes as well, so if you click on this, you'll have the lot of other classes. And if you don't click on this, you'll have a DB-T3 micro. So but if you'll toggle this, include previous generation classes, and you will find DB-T2 micro, so which is uh, DB-T2 micro, which is present here. Okay, so we can choose this DB-T2 micro, which is having 1 virtual CPU, 1 gig of RAM, no EBS optimized. So the very basic one. So we are going to choose this one, so that we have the minimum cost. Then coming on to the next one, the storage option, provisioned IOPS, input output operations per second, SSD IO1 is there. So flexible in, or you can use the GP2 or IO1. So any of this you can use. It will not work with the magnetic. So I'll keep it as the default one. I'll keep it as the default one. And allocated storage is there. And you will have the provision input output 3000 input and output operations are going to perform. So let's remove this allocation storage. If I'll use this GP tool instead of this, let's suppose allocated is 20 and storage auto scaling. So these are the few of the points related to the database creation. And let's move to the storage auto scaling. And in storage auto scaling, you will find that we have the option that enables storage auto scaling. This is very powerful feature of the RDBS, that you can click on this one and you can enable storage auto scaling. So whenever you are short of storage, automatic scaling is going to be performed. Okay, so this is very important one. So maximum storage threshold, beta, this we have studied in the theory, that we need to specify the maximum storage threshold. So see, you must have set the maximum storage threshold, the maximum limit for the database. Okay, so even if you're going to have the, it is auto scaling is going to be there, so you still need to specify what should be the maximum storage where the it is going to stop. So it is given 1000 gigs of memory is given. So let's keep it as it is. Coming on to the next one, availability and the durability. Where do you want to deploy this? So do not create a standby instance if you don't want to have the standby instance, or you can create a standby instance recommended for the production usage. Okay, so as of now you don't want to have any of the standby. And by the way, what is a standby? But a standby simply means, let's suppose you have 10 instances working. Okay, so you want to create some instances on the standby, that in case there is a failure or if in case something goes wrong, your standby instances are immediately deployed. Okay, so just to avoid, just to reduce the time of failure recovery, you have something standby. Okay, so you can create some standby instances. I don't need it, so I'll click on that. Okay, I don't need to have any of the standby instances, so I'll click on this one. Okay, let's have the connectivity. Let's try to discuss the connectivities. Now you'll see in the connectivity it is written that default VPC is created. So default VPC, I'm going to keep it as it is. Then subnet is going to be default, and let's have this default one. Okay, now whether you want to assess this database publicly, RDS will not assign a public IP address to the database, and yes means Amazon EBS will assign a public IP address so that your database can be accessed outside the AWS. So you can choose from this one whether you want to have an public IP address for this database or not. Okay. So I'm going to keep it as a yes. Then we'll have the VPC security group. Choose an existing or create a new. I'll try to create the new one, VPC. So let's try to create the new VPC. Let's try to give the name demo database MySQL. Okay, so I've written demo database MySQL, and then you need to specify in which availability zone. So no preference, let's keep it as it is. And then we are going to have the additional configuration. So database port, on what port this will be open for the connection, 3306. TCP IP port that database will use for the application connection. So all the applications are going to be connected to the database using 3306 port. So this is the default port that is being assigned. Okay, so let's move to the database authentication. So you can protect it using the password, or you can have the password plus IAM database authentication, the users that you're going to create. So you can use that. Forget about the third one as of now. So focus upon these two options. Either you can protect it using the password, or you can protect it using the password as well as the IAM database authentication. Okay. Then we'll have the additional configuration, and in this additional configuration, you'll have some points, DB parameter, option group, and then you'll see here the backup. Enable automated backups if you want to have. So Let's write, let me write the initials one. Let it be my DB, and then you'll have the default SQL 8.0, and this is there. And then we have the backups enabled, automated backups, that you want to have the automated backups enabled or not. And if you're going to create this automatic enabled backups, so automatically it will be enabled. So I'll keep it as it is. So backup, you'll see backup retention period. And if you'll see here, I have told you uh, backup retention period 7 to 35 days. हमने discuss किया था, यहाँ पे लिखा होगा. See, retention 7 days retention can be increased to 35 days. So same thing is present here. So backup retention period is, or default value is 7 given, but you can increase all the way to up to 35 days. Okay, so you can do that. So we'll keep the default value, so that's not going to make any difference. So I'll keep the default one. And then backup window, it is written. So when you click on the backup window means for how much time you want to have this backup. So when you click on choose a window, a starting time, at what time you want to start a backup, UTC on what regions you want to have, and duration is 0.5 hours. For how much duration you want to create this backup. Okay, so time you want to specify. Choose a window means at midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 2:30 a.m. at midnight, you can choose the window. So I'm not going to have any preference in this case. So I'm going to click on no preference. And now let's have the monitoring is there. 60-second granularity monitoring log exports, whether you want to export the audit log, error log, general log, or slow query log. So if any of the logs files are generated, want to export it somewhere or not. Okay, then the next one is going to be maintenance. Okay, now in case of maintenance, you will observe it is written enable auto minor version upgrade. So automatically it is going to upgrade. Maintenance window, better maintenance window, again when you'll click on here, on Monday you want to start with the maintenance, or what day, what time you, and for what particular duration you want to have the maintenance. Same thing is present here. And yes, the last point is very important. That is going to be the deletion protection. Suppose you accidentally delete with the database. Okay, suppose you accidentally delete the database. In that case, enable deletion protection. Okay, so that is enable. So protect the database from being deleted accidentally. While this option is enabled, you can't delete the database. Okay, so you cannot delete the database if this is enabled. So I'll keep it enabled because I don't want to delete it as of now. Okay, so now you'll see here, but now when you'll move on here, you will see database instance 17.5 to US dollars. This is the cost that will be there. Storage is going to cost me rupees 2.62 USD dollars, and total it is going to cost me 20.14 USD dollars. Okay, so this is the estimated monthly cost. So this is what we need to pay. Okay, so every setting is there. So I'm going to, so this is a paid one, so this does not fall under the free tier, but I'm still going to execute just so that you can have the flavor that how RDS can work. So let's go and click on the create. So I'm going to go and click on the create. This takes certain time. T2 micro instance, DBT2 micro, 1 CPU. Okay, done. So creating a database. Okay, so this is done. Database is created. Okay, now this is created. A status is still under the creation. Let it create. Now while this is creating, let's try to establish a connection. So I'm going to type in the another tab SQL Electron. Let's try to open the SQL Electron, and click on the SQL Electron. So you'll have these two options in order to interact with the SQL. So you can download the GUI. So I'm click on download the GUI from here. Okay. So you'll have lot of versions depending upon see latest Mac, YML, and we have all the for the Windows DMG for the Mac operating system. Okay. So you'll have all the versions available here, and you need to download it one of the available versions from here. Okay. So you need to download the available versions from here. Mm. So I'm going to, since I'm using the Mac operating system, I'm going to download SQL Electron 1.38.0. So this is the latest one. So click on this one. So it is downloading 100 MB. Okay, so beta while this is being created and while the database is being launched, okay. So till then, take a break of 5 to 10 minutes and then come back and then we'll try to start from the next point onwards. We'll try to execute and create a table with this one. Okay, don't leave the session and stay in the session only. Okay, and just try to execute whatever we have been doing here. And I have not taken the attendance as of now, beta, so you are not supposed to leave the session. Stay in the session. Okay, so beta, let's get started. Let me share the screen. Okay, and let's move to the RDS. So if you can see here, database 1, MySQL community AP South 1B, size T2 micro, status is available. So it has successfully been created. Okay, and we have already have got SQL Electron. This is downloaded. Okay. Use from internet. Are you sure want to? Yes. Open. Okay. So this is done. Okay, so if we'll come back to this database later on, and if I need to click on this database that we have created, so CP utilization status is available, class region is AP South 1B, endpoint you will see here. So database endpoint, there is one endpoint that is being provided at the port number 3306. Okay, and we have got the availability zone is there and all the important information, and demo VPC is there. So this is database that is VPC's creative security groups. And if I need to click on here, okay, let me not click here. Let's open it into a new tab. Okay, so this is security VPC. Click on here, open a new tab, and let's see. So this is security group is there, that is that we have created. And when you click here and you go to the inbound rules, you will see this IPv4 type is written here, MySQL Aurora TCP, and port range is given 3306, which is perfect. Okay, so port range is 3306, which is source is given. So this is IP, my IP address from this Mac. This is given. So you can keep it, if I want to access only, you can keep it as it is also. So this will work, or you can go to the inbound rule, and instead of this, you can go to the custom IPv4 and you can select anyone. So even this is also okay. Okay, so this is done. You can save the rules. Done. And let's move on to our, okay, this is done. Certification, everything is sorted. Now let's move and go to this space, SQL Electron that I've downloaded. Just to, this is, by the way, this is beyond the scope of the syllabus. So this is not a part of AWS or DevOps. This is just to make you understand that RDS, relational database, is created. So I can go and click on this one. So I need to specify the name. So let's type RDS demo, and then database, which database I am going to choose it here. So there are a lot of database. I have chosen MySQL at the time of created. Now the address of the server host. So I need to get the address. From where we can get the address? This is the address. Database. Copy this one and paste it here. Server address. Port number is already 3306. So I need to type here admin and the password. initial database key space I have given uh, MyDB. I had given at the time of creation, written MyDB. Okay. So this is connected. So automatically this is connected. Okay. Now you'll see MyDB. This is created already. Okay. Now and at this space, beta we can type any of the queries, and this will be executed. Okay. So let me write it here. Create table my table, and this should have it should have name, and this is varchar value should be 20, and I'm just randomly giving let's have one more field. I'll have the first name, let's suppose first name, then this is varchar. Is it case sensitive? uh, let's try to have it 20. Okay, semicolon, and let's execute this. Oh, invoking remote maybe execute cancelable query error. You have an error in the your SQL syntax. Check your manual course. Okay, so there is a this. So query executed successfully. So we have executed. We have created a table, my table, and here now if you'll see the query is executed successfully. Okay. And then once this query is executed, uh, then I'll do then I'll have select star limit. So table is not being created. So I'll use demo MySQL. Connection test successful. Okay. So this is my table. Meta table is created. So my table, you will see name and first name. So there are two fields. We have created name and first name. So now let's try to insert into this. For beta insert, simply double click, right left click, and you can have this insert statement, create statement. I'll click on create statement, insert into my table, name, first name, values. Let me give the values as a Sahil. Should be inside a double inverted commas. And sorry, this is required to be removed. Very successful. Okay, so inserted into table. Now if you'll see here, name and first name, so Sahil Sharma. So this is what this RD is. Okay, so likewise beta, you can click on here and you can create, select, insert, update, delete. You can perform any of the things here. So this is what I was trying to tell you. So there is nothing more in this. So let me close this. Okay, I'm going to remove this one beta. This is going to be removed. Or you should want to remove this server connection. Yes, remove the server connection. Done. And let's close this one. And this is done. So I have shown you how you can use the RDS and install the database, and how you can from the front end, from GUI SQL we have used, and how you can create table and store it into the database. Now the next point is, if I'll go to the database, now you will not be able to remove this directly. If I'll say delete, now if I want to delete this, let's suppose I click on delete, it has deletion protection option enabled. So you'll see this database has the deletion protection open enabled, so this cannot be deleted. Why so? Because it is saved from the accidental deletions. So I'll not be able to delete this directly until and unless I move to this database, and I need to just change a few of the settings. Or before we can change the setting, so there are a few options. When you click on there, modify, you can create a read replica. You can create the replicas if you want to have the read operation, and that can be used in multiple availability zones. You can take the snapshot, restore to the points in time. You can specify what point you want to restore this, and you migrate the snapshot once you have taken the snapshot and you want to migrate it to any other availability zone. Suppose this is available in AP South 1B, and for this database you want to migrate it to any other availability zone, you can take a snapshot, then click on the snapshot, then you can click on the migrate a snapshot. Okay, so this is done. You can monitor, and all the important uh, options are present here. So in order to delete this, the last point is I will not be able to delete from here. So I'll have a delete protection. So you simply need to click on modify, and you will be able to modify any of the settings that you have done at the time of creation of this database. Okay, let's have it opened. So everything is opened once again. Now if I move back all the way down, and you will see, yes, so you'll find here is a deletion protection. So this is enabled already, so protects the database from the deleted accidentally. So you can, this is enabled, so I need to uncheck this box and I need to continue. Okay, then click on modify db. Now this is going to be modified. Okay. Now this is modified. Let's refresh this. And actions, now if you click on delete, now on delete database instance, create a final snapshot. No, I don't want to create. Now this also asks that if you're going to create delete this, do you want to have a backup or the snapshot created? I don't want to create it. Retain the automated, no. So I acknowledge that upon deletion, automated backups including system snapshot and point in time recovery will no longer be available. Okay, I don't need it. Click on this one to confirm delete, type delete me. So delete, or I need to type in the, so I'll write delete me and I'll be able to delete this. So deleting the database instance, database once. Okay. Status, this is deleting. Okay, so after this, we have the next one is the encryption. Leave this one. Encryption, RDS security encryption. Okay, so the encryption at rest and encryption at flight. So if the data is being present at some of the storage point, how it can be encrypted, and if the data is within flight, if it is moving, then how this can be encrypted. So this might take some time. Okay, so beta from this point, from description point onwards. Okay, so we'll try to discuss in our next upcoming session. Okay, so we'll wrap up our session here only. Don't leave the session, but I have not taken the attendance, so nobody should leave the session before I mark the attendance. Give me a second.